Welcome to International Student Brief. The content of the briefing includes: a week brings back a buzz, but where are all the university bars? Autocracies are exporting autocracy to their diasporas. Women of the Year, Arkansas's Joyce Elliott says fairness drove her as legislator, teacher. As Iran scares the Middle East, at home its regime rots. King Harald V of Norway has been hospitalized with an infection while on vacation in Malaysia. A week brings back a buzz, but where are all the university bars? The Sydney Morning Herald. Many universities in Melbourne, Australia, no longer have a dedicated bar on campus as student life struggles to return post-pandemic. Student unions are facing declining power and the cost of living is putting pressure on students, resulting in the closure of many campus bars. However, student union leaders argue that these bars are important for keeping prices low and providing a space for students to socialize. Campus bars have traditionally been key incubators for live music and comedy, as well as spaces for student politicians to meet. The closure of these bars is seen as a loss for student culture. The University of Melbourne Student Union plans to open a new bar in the second semester of this year, hoping to revive student life on campus. The closure of campus bars has occurred in various ways, from the demolition of historic buildings to the conversion of bars into corporate function centers. Some universities are exploring options for new bar and social spaces as part of their plans to revitalize their campuses. Autocracies are exporting autocracy to their diasporas. Economist. Authoritarian regimes are increasingly seeking to control dissenting voices abroad through monitoring, intimidation, and censorship, according to The Economist. The rise of open borders and advances in technology have enabled autocracies such as China, Russia, Iran, and Turkey to exert influence over their diasporas, creating a climate of fear and self-censorship. The article suggests cracking down on state-backed spies and proxies and imposing harsh punishments for transnational repression. It also calls for greater scrutiny of tech platforms and for host countries to protect diaspora communities and uphold the values of openness. Women of the Year, Arkansas's Joyce Elliott says fairness drove her as legislator, teacher. Yahoo! Joyce Elliott, a former Arkansas state legislator, has been recognized as one of the Women of the Year for 2024 by the USA Today network. Elliott is known for her commitment to public service, education reform, and social justice. Her career in politics has been focused on bridging divides, whether racial, economic, or educational. She has pursued policies that address the symptoms of issues as well as the underlying causes, with a special focus on healthcare, affordable housing, and civil rights. Elliott has been active in the Democratic Party at the local, state, and national levels, and has served on several boards, including the Central Arkansas Library System. Throughout her career, she has been dedicated to making Arkansas a better place for its residents. Elliott has received numerous awards and honors for her service, and continues to shape the political discourse in Arkansas and beyond. She hopes that her legacy will be characterized by hard work and fairness. As Iran scares the Middle East, at home its regime rots. Economist. Iran's regime is purging reformists and dissidents ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections, shrinking its power base and turning the country into an absolute dictatorship, according to an op-ed in The Economist. The article claims that the regime's crackdown on opposition voices is backfiring, with support for a separation of religion and state reportedly jumping from 31% in 2015 to 73% today. The regime's unpopularity has led to a lackluster election campaign, with many Iranians expected to boycott the poll. The op-ed argues that Iran's economic problems, which have been exacerbated by U.S. sanctions, are a key driver of popular grievances. The article points to high inflation, a depreciating currency, rising prices, and late welfare payments as causes of discontent. The regime's foreign policy is also causing problems, with Iran's support for militias in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen leading to fears of retaliation from Israel and the U.S. The op-ed concludes that Iran's hardliners are now adopting policies that they previously opposed under President Hassan Rouhani, showing their desperation to regain international legitimacy and secure a reprieve from sanctions. King Harald V of Norway has been hospitalized with an infection while on vacation in Malaysia. Associated Press. King Harald V of Norway has been hospitalized with an infection while on vacation in Malaysia. The 87-year-old monarch has had several illnesses in recent months, raising concerns about his health. Crown Prince Haakon will be carrying out his planned engagements at home while the king is in hospital. Ask the expert, how can I prevent my battery going flat while I'm abroad? Telegraph. The 2021 Toyota Yaris Cross has a small 12V battery that can drain quickly if the car is not started regularly. Toyota advises starting the car and running it in the ready position for at least an hour every week to prevent the battery from going flat. However, if you are abroad and unable to do this, you can use a trickle charger to supply a constant trickle of power to the battery. Trickle chargers can be powered by the mains or a solar panel and will prevent the battery from going flat while you are away. Reverend R.B. Holmes Task Force Symposium, Crafting New Black History Curriculum. Yahoo! The Reverend R.B. Holmes Jr. is hosting a 2-day conference at Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Tallahassee, Florida, to highlight the importance of Black history and propose a new curriculum to the governor's office. Holmes wants to combat what he sees as the state's efforts to dilute the teaching of African American history in Florida classrooms. The conference will bring together scholars, teachers, authors, faith leaders, elected officials, and community organizations to present a factual and accurate teaching of Black history in schools. The proposed curriculum will be delivered to the governor's office and the Commissioner of Education's office. That's all for today's news. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned. First, we discovered that many universities in Melbourne, Australia, are closing their campus bars, which is seen as a loss for student culture. However, there are plans to open new bars in the future to revive student life on campus. Next, we explored how autocratic regimes like China, Russia, Iran, and Turkey are exporting their control and censorship to their diasporas. The rise of technology and open borders has allowed them to exert influence, creating a climate of fear and self-censorship. The article suggests cracking down on state-backed spies and proxies, as well as imposing punishments for transnational repression. We also celebrated Joyce Elliott, a former Arkansas legislator, who has been recognized as one of the Women of the Year. Elliott has dedicated her career to public service, education reform, and social justice, with a focus on bridging divides and addressing underlying causes. She hopes that her legacy will be characterized by hard work and fairness. Moving on, we discussed the state of Iran's regime, which is purging reformists and dissidents ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections. This crackdown has backfired, with support for a separation of religion and state increasing. The article highlights economic problems and a controversial foreign policy as drivers of popular grievances. In other news, King Harald V of Norway has been hospitalized with an infection while on vacation in Malaysia. Concerns about his health have been raised, and Crown Prince Haakon will be taking on his duties in the meantime. Lastly, we provided some expert advice on preventing battery drain in the 2021 Toyota Yaris Cross while abroad. Toyota advises starting the car and running it for at least an hour every week, but if that's not possible, a trickle charger can be used to keep the battery from going flat. Now, let's open the floor to discussion. What are your thoughts on the closure of campus bars in Melbourne? Do you believe autocratic regimes should be held accountable for their control over diasporas? And how important is it to have accurate and factual teaching of Black history in schools? I'd love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions you may have. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.